was not a very big fan of Fortnite Chapter 6 back when it first launched late last year, starting off with an underwhelming new map reveal through 2 seasons that both felt like they were retreading old ground. I was just about ready to call all of Fortnite Chapter 6 a flop. But in typical Fortnite fashion, just as I get convinced that the game is fully going in a direction that I don't like, they managed to pull me back in. Fortnite Chapter 6 Season 3 was all about superheroes, and despite initially appearing as another heavily gimmicky season with a tired personality and a battle pass full of disappointingly generic hero designs, I found Super to be a refreshing change of pace after really disliking Galactic Battle. I think Fortnite is at its best when it eliminates downtime. The best seasons feel like a living, breathing open world with incentives to explore and engage in PvE challenges away from the other players, and this season's new hero rankings mechanic feels like this idea realized in its truest form. Basically, as you eliminated more players, your ranking would go up, with a higher hero ranking giving you access to better loot found through these vaults dotted around the map, which contain the best versions of these new super-powered weapons. These rankings gave you an excuse to engage with the map outside of just the PvP stuff, and for a game with rounds as long and empty as Fortnite can be, this was a much-needed addition to the core gameplay. And all of this combined with these goofily overpowered weapons and this retro-futuristic aesthetic on the new points of interest made for a season that I really enjoyed. And that's just the beginning of my positive feelings on the latter half of this chapter. Chapter 6 Season 4, Fortnite Shock N Awesome, takes the undercurrent of PvE gameplay that has always been a staple of Fortnite and brings it to the forefront, with the main gimmick of the season being a new invasive species of bugs populating the map that you're encouraged to hunt down. And this blending of PvE and PvP elements makes for what is easily my favorite Fortnite season in a while. Having to juggle between the other players and the Horde mode-esque challenges that were lurking on every other point of interest made it so there was always something for you to be doing, and the ranking system from last season returns, making it all kind of blend together in a way that I found very satisfying. Maybe it's just because I'm a Gen Z dopamine addict, used to the endless scrolling of social media, but I found this season always giving you something to shoot at to be very enjoyable. The new weapons were fun, the new portions of the map were fun, these roly-poly vehicle guys were awesome, it was all a great time. Later Fortnite seasons within their respective chapters tend to be victims of stagnation, with everyone kind of getting sick of the maps by the time we reach this point in the chapter, but Fortnite Shock N Awesome managed to defy expectations. And it all combines into an experience that would easily top my Fortnite season rankings if it wasn't for the fact that all of these great ideas would be thrown out the window in order to make way for the K-pop Demon Hunters. And let's be very clear, I loved K-pop Demon Hunters, I thought the movie was great, and I think they're one of the more natural Fortnite crossovers to happen in a minute, but I did not like that with their inclusion and Guima showing up on the map, all of the bug and PvE stuff disappeared. I know that the live service nature of Fortnite does mean that everything is seasonal, and thus everything is eventually going to end up phased out of the main game, but it really took the wind out of this season's sails when everything that made this season cool was just unceremoniously removed from the game overnight. Looking back on the season, I find myself more irritated than anything else, because I fell in love with this gameplay loop only for it to disappear faster than the 7 disappeared from Fortnite lore. I didn't even get time to record any of my own footage. All of the stuff that you're seeing in the background was sourced from other folks online. The one saving grace that the latter half of this season has is that its collaborations were really cool. We had the aforementioned K-pop Demon Hunters getting Fortnite skins in record turnaround time, the Gorillas looking more like themselves in Fortnite than they have in the past 5 years of official Gorillaz material, the entire Scooby-Doo gang, a myriad of horror icons, Huggy Wuggy making the Poppy Playtime franchise look somewhat charming for the first time ever. There was a lot to love here. I tend to be very critical of Fortnite's brand collaborations because there is a fine line between cute crossover and paid advertisement that Fortnite loves to dance over all the time, but you can tell when there's a genuine love for the source material being displayed in these Fortnite cosmetics. I'm always the first to criticize games doing these big brand tie-ins for being cynical marketing ploys, but these past few Fortnite seasons have managed to feel more sincere than Fortnite has in the past. Which brings us to the current season, and what might be the game's biggest brand collaboration to date. Fortnite Chapter 6 Mini Season 2 is The Simpsons, and I remember when this was first leaked earlier this year, I thought there was no way this was going to be real. It felt like The Simpsons was a show with too grounded a heart for Fortnite to do anything interesting with. but here we are, it's a thing, and I actually think it's really well done for what it is. I know a lot of fans have come out of the woodwork to criticize this season for being a fully branded season, the worst case scenario for folks who like Fortnite for its original concepts, but I think that perspective undermines what we actually got here, because as I was saying earlier, you can tell when something is made with love, and this is definitely made with love. Through some convoluted lore stuff, the Fortnite island is merged with the Simpsons' hometown of Springfield, giving us a completely new, fully cel-shaded map to explore for this mini-season. And even just looking at a couple seconds of gameplay, it is immediately obvious how much work went into making things look and feel like the cartoon. Not only is the place filled with fully 3D, screen-accurate recreations of many of the show's more iconic locations, which would be insane in its own right, but each of these areas are littered with tiny references to the show's decades-long history, and you can really tell that the Fortnite team wanted to go all out when they finally got their chance to take on the Simpsons world. There are so many fun references here. The battle bus flies through the opening sequence, you and your squad can sit on the Simpsons couch, the knocked off statue head of Jebediah Springfield is an equipable item, all of the Duff beer branding has been replaced with Fortnite brand Slurp, and that's just the surface level stuff. If you're a real Simpsons buff, every location is jam-packed with tiny details. Just going into Moe's bar and looking at the walls, you will see references to dozens of different episodes. The production value here is staggeringly incredible, and the gameplay isn't half bad either. As far as moment-to-moment interactions go, this season is more on the basic side. Aside from a handful of gimmicky weapons to line up with the Simpsons stuff that don't actually feel all that different from weapons past, things are just kinda more bog-standard Fortnite. But it's bog-standard Fortnite in the best coat of paint you could possibly imagine. I don't need a whole new gameplay style in a season that's already taking this big of a swing stylistically. They bring back a decent amount of weapons I already liked from past seasons, and that was enough to find myself enjoying the gunplay. And despite lacking some equivalent to the ranking system from the past 2 seasons, making things a little more long-winded in terms of downtime, all of this takes place on a smaller than average map, meaning that you're bumping into more players more often. It's hard not to appreciate everything going on here. This season is easily one of the most distinct to ever touch the game, especially compared to how underwhelming the last crossover season was a couple months ago. They even made several decently long TV-quality Simpsons shorts featuring updates on what was going on in the Fortnite world. Is this not insane to you? Animation, especially 2D animation, featuring some of the most well-known and long-running voice actors in the industry, is expensive. And there is no way Epic Games would spring for something as ultimately unnecessary as this unless they knew it was going to land. And I would argue that it did with flying colors. This is the kind of high-effort crossover that gets you to enjoy what you're seeing, even if you don't care about the franchise being crossed over at all. I wouldn't call myself a particularly huge Simpsons fan, but it still carried me through multiple play sessions with the biggest, stupidest smile on my face. And personally, I'm just happy that we could end the chapter on a high note. It's no secret that I've been highly critical of the direction Fortnite has taken in recent years, pivoting away from being the battle royale behemoth that we all know and love into some kind of metaverse to rival the Robloxes of the world, but it's been heartening to see in recent months that they have come to their senses and remembered what makes the game fun. Of course, there are still some things to be concerned about. I really hate everything they're doing with the Sidekicks. That upcoming Disney collaboration is looking to be like everything I hate about Fortnite rolled into one package, and there are still just as many concerning headlines about the future of the game as ever, but I'm optimistic. Fortnite finally feels like it remembers why people began playing the game, not for its wide reach over all of pop culture, but for its cartoonish take on Battle Royale. And this Simpsons season is the best they have ever been at blending those two identities. And it's not just the Battle Royale being good that excites me, but the fact that they seem to be winding down a lot of the smaller side modes like Festival and Lego Odyssey in favor of spinning up more proper Battle Royale spin-offs like Blitz and Delulu. It's been a long time since I last said this, but I'm excited about the future of Fortnite again. And despite getting off to what I would argue to be a pretty rough start, I am so unbelievably happy to report back today and say that Fortnite Chapter 6 managed to redeem itself in my eyes. is. And since Chapter 7 is right around the corner, I have prepared a little wish list for some future collaborations that I would like to see, including, but not limited to, Miss Marvel, Minecraft Steve, Bobby from K-Pop Demon Hunters, Taylor Swift, Nathan Fillion as either John Nolan or Guy Gardner, Knuckles the Echidna, Buck and Eddie, Chapel Roan, anyone from One Piece, Steven Universe, the entire main cast of RWBY, RuPaul and Ross Matthews, Winston from Overwatch, Ross Geller, and Uncle Jesse from Full House. If I don't get at least 3 of these by Chapter 8, I am quitting the game forever. See ya!